Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit. They say there are no stupid question. But what's the most stupid question you have ever been asked? My sister once asked me if the humans killed all the Homo sapiens because they were stupid. Also, when she found out that you need more stamps to mail a big package, she asked how many stamps it would take to mail a car. My dad told her 50 as a joke and she just nodded her head and said, "Oh, that makes sense." She was in college when she asked both of these questions. Bro, I was imagining like a cute little girl asking these questions till I read the last sentence. Continuing to be a cute little girl well into adulthood can get some people surprisingly far in life. I worked retail. A woman who did not have her child with her asked me if I thought a piece of clothing would fit her child. I said, "Ma'am, I have never met your kids in my life. Are you not the parent?" Retail. I got this one all the time. "Would this fit my child? She's 6 inches, mom. I'm a teenager putting clothes on hangers for a living." I don't know shit about your child. 6 inches is a pretty small child. I was born significantly deaf. Was once asked, "Do deaf babies know sign language when they are born?" Yes, they know sign language as in multiple dialects. Do hearing babies know how to speak when they are born? Yes. Touch his earpiece. No, wait. I'm hearing it's actually a no. Latest information is that children learn to speak. What country are you from? Spain. Yes. But what country? Edit. I think that person asked because of my Chinese features. But at that moment I didn't realize because I'm practically Occidental and I'm not very used to people asking about the country I was born. But what is more annoying is when they ask me if Panda Express is traditional Chinese food. I don't know, I am from Spain. SMH. This reminds me of the kid who said he was excited to learn Mexican on the first day of our Spanish I class. I said the same shit on my first day of high school Spanish. I said it as a joke, but unsurprisingly no one laughed. I work IT. Asked a person if her mouse was wired or wireless. She said, "How am I supposed to know that? This is your job." I said, "No, that's common sense." I almost mollywopped her. So you can look into her house with your all-seeing eyes apparently. Not all-seeing. Tech-seeing. They have X-ray vision so they can see computers and stuff through walls. A friend once asked my other friend who was a history teacher, what was the president's reaction to Jeff's assassination, and that was the first time I had seen a grown man cry. He followed with, "Well, let's just say he was speechless." Oh man. That's too good. OMG. This is so horrible. I'm literally dying RN. I live in a very popular tourist town. Is there anything to do around here? We've already seen the Walmart. Well, if you drive 2 miles west you'll come across the Arboretum at the Home Depot. It is so annoying when they ask where the vortex is. Yes. Leave. Please. I worked at Blockbuster Video in 2004 for 6 months. I had 3 unrelated incidents, but the words and tone of all 3 were uncannily identical. They answered the question immediately before asking it, and they stopped. I learned didn't know the answer. Yep, I know my movie was late. Why do I have to pay a late fee? Because you're a dumb piece of shit that does not understand the logic of time. Those were the good old days. Now we are stuck with Redbox. I worked there during the no late fees era. If you kept a movie longer than 30 days it would charge to your account as a sale. If you brought it back after that, you'll be refunded the sale price minus a $1.25, I think, restocking fee. Yes, it's a fee for being late. Yes, it's disingenuous to charge the restocking fee while advertising no late fees. But you paid $5 and kept a new release for the entire 2 months it was popular. Karen. The store lost money because we couldn't rent that copy to anyone else while you had it. So shut up and pay your dollar. Or go complain to corporate. Just leave my $8 at home behind out of it. As a fellow Blockbuster employee, I could not agree more with this statement. My years there vastly changed my view of average human intelligence. Are you Asian or Chinese? So this happened at school. My parents are from China. I was born in the US. When people ask me where I'm from, I usually tell them I am Chinese and leave it at that. So after a few weeks or so, a person that's already asked me before where I'm from asks me this. But tell me why I get asked to play Mulan and not Picasso. I look Asian. Apparently I met the perfect height requirement. So are you Chinese or Japanese? Neither. I'm from Laos. I'm Laotian. I called to order a pizza, half plain and half pepperoni. Pizza girl, sounding unsure. I guess we could do that. Which half do you want the pepperonis on? The bottom half. You animal. They go on the top half. Edit. Who gave me silver for this? You nutter. But thank you. Girl. Hey, what's the capital of the world again? I said Detroit. Well, that would explain the current state of the world. Maybe he was trying to hit on you. Source. I'm from Detroit. A friend of my parents asked me if I know him. He visited my parents while I was away to college and I told him I was gone when he visited, but I saw pictures of you at your parents' house. You don't know me? So then I say, are you the friend of my parents with the hot daughter? He never bugged me again. Tell him you couldn't see him since you have a tendency to close your eyes when being taken pictures. Sorry, the camera system I used to monitor my parents must have been down that day. One summer I made friends with 2 German girls who were on holiday. One of them messaged a friend of mine to ask my address so they could send me a Christmas card. My imagination ran wild. I thought, could this be the time I score with 2 hot girls? Every man's dream. He literally lived across the hall but could not remember my sweet, biggest cock-a-block of the week. Did they want to bang you? I met them while they were visiting my city briefly and kept in touch with them online. They both had boyfriends at the time. Is the ice cream served cold? Usually as a waiter, I can game face almost anything. But there's no way my face didn't read. The yuck you just say? I was out with friends once at a restaurant and we asked the waiter how the rack of ribs was. He replied they are excellent in a firm, confident tone. So I ordered them, while my friend Mike decided on something else. We get the food. The ribs are great. I shared a rib with Mike. He loved it. But when the waiter comes back to ask how everything was, Mike, being a Mike, says this shit. Well, I would have ordered the ribs if I'd known they were gonna be that good, and the waiter looks at him bug-eyed and yelled. Literally yelled, I said they were excellent. What would have convinced you? Excellent plus. Was that the answer you needed? We left that guy a damn good tip and have never let Mike forget it. Excellent plus. LOL. Can't you drive to Hawaii? Yes, you take the 5 freeway south to the 120H straight to Hawaii across the Pacific Ocean for 24 hours. Well, they do have an interstate highway. Technically an ATV should be able to, otherwise they should start calling them MTVs, most terrain vehicle. The ocean floor counts as terrain to me. My friend didn't know what an STD was. He was 16 BTW, so he asked what it was and I replied a sexually transmitted disease. His follow-up question was then, how is it transmitted? That's when it dawned on me, I have to teach this kid what chlamydia is all about. I googled sexually transmitted disease and oh boy was he blown away. I ended the teaching session with don't be a fool, wrap your tool. Don't think that you need to worry about that, bro. Tragically it's the stupid ones we have to worry about most. Is Germany in Russia? She was 16 at the time and she had a young child. I still think about that kid and it makes me sad at what little chance it has in the world. Germany in Russia, not since the fall of the Berlin Wall, LOL. A manager in his 50s told me to check invoices from Germany. They were from Luxembourg. He probably didn't even know there's a country called Luxembourg. A woman asked lesbians if they worried about pregnancy when having sex. Life finds its way. S. In the days before cell phones, friend called me and asked where I was. I had to pretend to be my grandma. Grew up in that time as well. Frustrating to be waiting for someone. You call their house to find out how long ago they left and they answer, you haven't even left yet? Are your family members Nazis? Half German. Living in England. My husband is half German Jewish. His direct ancestors got out in time. When someone learned he had German Jewish grandparents, they asked this. No. His relatives were not Nazis. People think I am wearing a pentagram when I wear my David star on my chain. Drives me crazy sometimes. Penta is 5. David's star is a hexagram which is 6. Edit. Thought I might add that this was coming from RN nurses and well versed in biblical education APRNs. After a friend of mine and I saw Godzilla King of Monsters, she asked if dinosaurs used to hurt people back in the day. Lol, she is 33. Once a classmate, this was on year 10 or year 11, asked me how I had managed to put ice into a plastic bottle. A friend of mine proceeded to tell her that there were YouTube tutorials on cut open and glue the bottle back together and that it was super easy. That friend is WOKE. Did you have to take a canoe to school? A question I was asked once when I told them I moved from Hawaii. I remember the family driving cross country with Hawaii plates on. People would ask how long the drive from Hawaii was. During a discussion about police emergencies in my high school class, a student asked what the phone number was for 911. That easy. It's 0118999881999119725. 3. 0118999881999119725. 3. That's number Wang. Yesterday my mom FaceTimed me from her iPhone to ask, in a panic, do you have any idea where I might have left my iPhone? 100% mom behavior. My mom has done similar. What's Obama's last name? What is it though? Not asked to me but by a buddy in the military. We will call him Tony, and we were in a pretty intense course in the military a few years ago, and Tony had a problem with asking our instructors a lot of fucking questions. If they asked if anyone had questions, Tony had about 3 or 4 that could be easily answered by any one of us. This obviously pissed our instructors off to a point where one snapped, "Tony, why do you ask so many fucking stupid questions?" Tony smiled and replied, "So I don't do something fucking stupid." Sergeant, everyone, including instructors, started laughing, minus the instructor who was legitimately pissed off with Tony. Goddamn Tony, he got em good. The dumbest question was asked by the sergeant. "So I don't do something fucking stupid." Sergeant, a legendary response. He saw the opportunity and took it. Comedy gold. When I was in the USMC, I was in La Light Armored Reagan. We have LADS light armored vehicles. They are amphibious, so yes, they are part boat. During a dog and pony show I was asked this question: how deep can the water be for it to float? I thought he meant like at what point will it start to float versus drive. So I told him that the water needs to be around 4 feet for it to be used as a water transport. No, he wanted to know if it would still float if the water was really deep. No. So what I mean is, if the water was like 100 feet deep, would it still float? I just stared at him. Like, really? This is the best one here, I think. Hey, you work at this business, right? No, I don't. Are you sure? I used to work at Ben & Jerry's. Someone came in at least once a month with a Baskin-Robbins coupon. Usually politely told them they were in the wrong place. Then point to the B&J sign on the opposite wall if they looked confused. One woman tried to argue it with me. "Huh, this is Baskin-Robbins. Give me my free cone." Me. "I'm afraid not. Sorry, this is B&J, and we don't take competitors' coupons." "Huh, I think I know where I am. This is definitely BR." Me. "Then why am I wearing a B&J apron?" "Why do you have glasses? Why do you have a cast on your arm?" I said in response. "Obviously I don't have good eyesight, that's why I am wearing the glasses, you goof behind. If you were wearing your glasses you could have avoided the cast." Join our community Discord, link in description. Do you know who I am? Nope, never met you before. I got that one time as a kid working in a grocery store. Woman wanted to cash a check for more than I even had access to. I told her I couldn't do it. When she asked, "Do you know who my husband is?" I seriously thought I should know. Like maybe he was the owner or something. I looked at the check and sincerely replied, "No." She huffed off. Next day I got fired. Still don't know who her husband was. I was working at Walgreens and the Mr. Walgreen came in and paid at the register by check. Store policy required that I call the manager to approve all checks. So I called him. He freaked, but I figured this would be the worst time to break the rule. No consequences. I guessed correctly. Working at a yogurt shop, an adult woman asked me what sugar-free meant. No, a language barrier didn't exist. I answered it means It's free of sugar, she said. Do you like changing the word structure? Unlocked a code. Another time, a lady asked what was good. I said, well, our soft serve peanut butter is our most popular. I don't personally like it, but a lot of people do. Okay, can I have a sample? I pour one and afterward, she says, gross. This is disgusting. How could you let me try this? I thought she was joking, so I laughed. She wasn't joking. Both of these events happened over a decade ago. Sometimes I wonder how far they made it in life. I was talking with a few friends about Pride Month, and I mentioned how I'm asexual. One absolute genius then asked me, what do you mean you're asexual? I saw you eat a hamburger the other day. Not the stupidest thing ever said, but I did have a serious WTF look on my face. Edit. Holy crap, this thing blew up. Thank you everyone. Well, asexuals do tend to avoid putting meat in their mouths. My ex once woke me up from a nap to ask me if I was taking a nap. No shit, did you not just wake me up? She defended this for years afterward. My ex-boyfriend asked me if the 4th of July was 15th or 14th. You might see why I dumped him. Edit. This may explain a lot about him. LOL. He cheated on me with my best friend. Twice. I mean, obviously, everyone knows it's the 4th July of the decade. Do you speak Canadian? I thought it was a bad joke. It wasn't. Do people in Canada live in igloos? That's the perfect opportunity to give them satire answers. Well, yeah, and they ride moose around to go places and eat walrus for dinner every day. As a Canadian, 10 out of 10 have played into every single stereotype I could think of when I was asked this. The saddest part was I lived just above the border and was visiting only just below. Like, I drove maybe 3 hours, but you think the weather changes that drastically that it's boiling hot summer here and we live in igloos as soon as you cross over? At my mom's funeral, I was a blubbering mess. Someone came up and said, I guess you're pretty happy now. Hot WTF. My anger would cook my insides. Not even joking. I'm not a mean person, but that sucked up. If I plug an extension cord into itself, it'll work, right? Of course. It provides infinite energy. Unfortunately, we can't get it out of the loop, so the search for renewable energy continues. It was our first day at school and we were told to put paper and write our names on them so teachers would know our names. So the teacher called a person beside me by his name and that person was surprised and was like, how did he know my name? I pointed at the paper and he laughed just to cover up the awkwardness. I felt that. Edit. Whoa, man. This comment just blew up so fast and this is my first time getting these amounts of points. Thank you so much. I never got used to wearing a name tag at my retail job. Occasionally, a customer would say my name when referring to me, and it would always make me run through a film roll of people I know once knew in my head, trying to figure out how I knew them, before realizing, oh yeah, my name is literally on my vest. After a funeral at the cemetery, a boy was looking around at all the various sizes of grave monuments. He asked, does the biggest one win? I mean, I live next to some gorgeous cemeteries that I like to walk around, and it always piques my interest when I see like Jones 1880 to 1936 on a big phallic monument. Then 2 graves down there's a Jones 1882 to 1945 on a bigger phallic monument. Like I see you, little brother Jones, one-upping your brother in death. I don't know. That seems like an insightful rhetorical question commenting upon our hubris and mortality. Why are there so many cars there? It was a car dealership. Worked at Disneyland Paris for 10 years. Very common to hear what time is the 4 o'clock parade. I try to stay patient with people because I know folk can be an expert in something and a dunce in something else. I mean, crap, if you asked me about Warhammer figurines I'd look like an idiot. But the amount of people who get hostile at me after asking and finding out that they can't take things like nursing, dental, anesthesia, etc. courses fully online sets my teeth on edge. I know that online labs exist, and a lot of programs are a combo of online and person. But when someone is like, why? After I say no, those generally aren't offered fully online, it takes all my restraints to answer, because it generally requires in-person training. Instead of would you want to see a nurse who never physically learned how to draw blood for your lab testing? Or that doesn't know how to operate a scale or a blood pressure cuff? Same with dental hygienists, etc. I don't want someone sticking one of those pointy hooks in my mouth if they've never physically touched someone else's mouth before. It's just common sense. Or it should be. Caveat that I know a lot of BSN and MSN programs are online. But that's because those require someone already have their nursing license and associate's nursing diploma plus be working in the field already. It's the RN and other licensure programs that require the in-person component because again, you need the physical training. Do you sell Coca-Cola products? The Coke cooler is outside, 8 inches away from the door you are currently leaning through. It has a 6-foot tall picture of a Coke bottle on the side. Your car is parked a foot and a half away from it and facing it directly. I worked at Subway for a while, so many people would lean over, arms on the glass covering the breads and cheeses decals, and ask what breads and cheeses we had. Who was the president of the United States when William McKinley was assassinated? Technically no one. It isn't an assassination until the target is dead, and the next one in line hadn't been sworn in yet. We had no president at the time, only an acting president. If people don't like Obamacare, why don't they just switch to the Affordable Care Obama set in place while he was in office? I wish I was making that up, and there was no amount of explaining to get them to understand they're the same thing. This, unfortunately, was apparently an issue with a lot of folks. I vaguely remember one of those late night comedy news shows doing man on the street interviews where people were insistent that they didn't want their ACA healthcare taken away because they loved it, but boy did they want Obamacare to be abolished. So his total was $4.34 and he gave me $5.35. How much is his change? I was at 7-Eleven and bought something for 79 cents. I gave the clerk $1. He screwed something up on the computer and it didn't tell him my change. He looked at it for a bit and then asked me how much change he should give me. Fellow mathematically challenged people need to get better at hiding their lack of skills. Whenever this happens to me I pick up my phone and sneak use the calculator while pretending I'm texting. Rather be seen as rude than a dumbass. Why don't you know karate aren't you Japanese? The Karate Kid really mislead us all. Hug. Where does the electricity go when you unplug something? Wouldn't it leak out of the socket into a puddle on the floor? Personally, I think that's a great question. From child to adult, a lot of people don't know much about electricity, conductors, or chemical energy storage. Heck, I bet half the people who think this is a stupid question couldn't properly explain why the question is stupid aside from electricity doesn't work like that. My degree is partially in electrical engineering, and I would even have a hard time explaining why this doesn't happen. Actually, thinking even more on in, it'd be kind of cool for outlets to be constantly sputtering little arcs. The hard part isn't explaining the phenomenon. That's easy. It's just the underpinning physics. The hard part is explaining it so that other people can understand it. Is there any chance you could be pregnant? Normally a reasonable question, but not when you're scanning a 2-day-old C-section wound. I know it was autopilot, because they have to ask every woman between 10 and 70, pretty much, but it was still the daftest thing I've ever been asked, and the tech laughed as much as I did once it clicked. I was in college in some basic science class and green energy came up. We were talking about different technologies we could leverage and wind turbines came up. Some dude asked how is it green if you need fuel to spin the turbine. Dumbest thing I've ever heard. In my college geology class a student asked what would happen if the sun fell out of the Earth's orbit. If my child has a biting problem in your classroom, can't you just, like, bite my child back? Asked by a completely serious parent. Sure, I can bite your child, but I kinda like keeping my job and not being arrested for child abuse more. Yesterday on a work Zoom call, training people how to use a new system, everyone was issued a one-time password to log in and set up their account. It's asking me to confirm my new password. Do I use a one-time password or the new one I just set? Has your third hole grown out yet? Said by my first boyfriend about my V at age 15. He literally thought girls only had 2 holes and that the third one grows out and boom you can lose your virginity now. One of my favorite was when this girl in English 3 blurts out, "Hey y'all. This might be a stupid question, but is being German and Jewish the same thing?" The girl's father was a history teacher. What is 40 minus 10? She was in her 20s. My test. What's 2 plus 2? Me. I think it's 4. Better double check it in the calculator just in case. Do girls have a behind her? My friend burped and our other friend, who's a guy, was blown away. He didn't know that girls burped. It's been like 4 or 5 years and we still make fun of him for that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.